Oh, sorry, bud. I didn't see you there. Here, have a donut.
Find a spot around the fireplace, you goonies. It's time for another tale of Casual Master Quest.
Oh gosh! Hello everybody, aloha! Welcome to episode 23 of Casual Master Quest. This is going to be the episode where Nick and myself finally get to argue. We're going to duke it out. My name is Tyler. That is Nick. Nick,
Hello.
look alive. How's life on your end, buddy?
Life's going okay. Are we jumping straight into the how's life stuff? Because
Okay, give me a summary of your current well-being as of right now. How about that?
as of right now, I'm fed, and after this is done, I'm going on a date.
Things just warmed up over here.
Yeah.
For the first portion, if you want to hear Nick eat his food, we're gonna have a post show. So after the credits and all that stuff, you get to hear him being very poorly narrated by a wildlife conservative or reserve officer. I don't know. Does not matter. So yes, this is Casual Master Quest episode 23. Let's start the party, Nick. Now, what have you been like? What's the week been like, man?
School's really piling up. We're in that. I believe we're in week 7. So out of 13 weeks, week 7 is the middle point, obviously. So there's a lot of midterms, quizzes, deadlines. So it's just really piling on. I haven't had much time to play, but I did find out about my library on campus.
Ooh.
So I always knew this. I always knew we had a game room. And so they have a bunch of TVs set up. They even have an arcade machine in one corner and a pinball table.
Nice.
And so they have PS3s, PS4s, Xboxes, 360s and ones. They have a Wii U. I don't know if they have a Switch set up, but so I always knew that you could borrow games out, but I didn't know you could actually borrow consoles out as well. So they have a Switch you can take home for about 3 days. They have all these other games and devices you can take home for a couple of days. And I found sitting in the corner a single copy of Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got it for 3 days, and I can call in. So it's due back on, for people who are listening, this is Monday, so it was due back yesterday. I would have called in to extend it for another 3 days, and I can do that for 3 times. I can do that up to 3 times. So I believe that adds up to 12 days in total. I can take it out. And when those 12 days are up, I could just take it back and then take it out immediately right again, because it's, checked into their system, and then there's somebody else is checking it out. Doesn't matter that it's the same person.
That's horrific, but still awesome. I mean, as long as you constantly check in to show that, hey, I still have it, I didn't forget. I mean, sure, I guess that works, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 12 days, that's going to get you like maybe 10% of the game through. So, I mean, Godspeed, man.
Knowing me, with a game like this, open world RPG, I do just about everything except the main quest. Like, I'll play the main quest up to a certain point before it's like, all right, now you need to, before it starts getting like linear in a sense. And at some point I'd be like, you know what, screw this. I kind of want to see what else the, region has to offer.
I'm very sorry, but, and we'll talk about this later, looking for a linear pathway in Breath of the Wild, it's like asking for a straight line in a spider web. It's not. What
I mean is, like, generally with like even open world RPGs, the main story quest will generally be a linear fashion. But in a game like, let's say, The Witcher 3, it'll require you to level up in between. Whereas, Legend of Zelda or Breath of the Wild, as far as I've understood it so far, it does. There are no level up systems, but it gear checks you. Right.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
But like Dark Souls, if you're careful, you can go through the game with base gear, as far as I understand it.
We will talk about this in a hot second. Don't worry. Anything else? You said you're going on a date today.
I'm going on a date today, so it's Saturday, so 2 days ago.
So hopefully on Monday we'll hear good news. Yeah. Any idea where you're planning on going with him or her?
I'm taking her to a barcade and then out for ramen. So something like really low key, because
that's your flavor. Really... That's your style. Full props to you, man.
Yeah, because it's not like a date, not like a super serious date. It's like a getting to know each other date. So something where we can, have a few drinks, have some fun, get some food to eat, and it's like casual but nothing serious. And you know what I mean? Like it is what it is, and so I'm excited.
Well, I want to like fully appreciate this because, like, I imagine when I was your age, so 50 years ago, I would have gone for the dinner at a movie kind of thing, like just so bland, like safe in so many different fronts that oh, I'm going to take you to the Olive Garden. Hey, you can't go wrong there, right? I'm going to take you to see the latest Disney movie. Can't go wrong. And I see my wife keeps craning her head at me because I might be pulling from personal experience, but that's besides the point. But you are not holding back. Not only are you saying you're going to a barcade, you're going to go over to, oh gosh, where else? You just said it.
Ramen.
Ramen.
Yeah, we're going after ramen. Yeah, because I'm in a big ramen mood right now. I had ramen for the first time earlier this summer.
Yes.
And I'm not big into soupy stuff.
But you Naruto'd hard.
Yeah, I'm in love with it. But I do I'm very picky about ramen, mainly because of the soup base, not what's in the ramen. So there are a few nice places in the area that the barcade's at, and I picked a barcade because I'd never been to one. I've not been to like a North American arcade yet, and when you have an arcade, you have adults and you throw in alcohol, it always leads to a good time as long as you're careful. And also I figured a barcade would be a really soft introduction to just how much time I can spend playing games. Right. So if there's somebody who's not, comfortable with that idea, then, I don't necessarily want that to cause any future friction.
I guess the last question I have is your prospective lady date person. Is she into video games as well?
No, she's a much better human being than I am. So, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So, let's see how it goes. This is, mind you, also my first date ever. So, this is going to
okay.
Yeah.
I guess that brings up a lot of questions, but I'll bug you about your personal life later. Over on my end, I'm currently on week 3 of work, and I'm sure people love hearing me talk about my work and all that. Got my first paycheck for a single week, which is nice because it means I'm actually officially employed by them, and I'm getting money. This wasn't like some crazy Ponzi scheme where I'm getting scammed, but I'm now driving by myself, and I'm driving by myself on the hardest route that's available on the entire account. There was one particular store that every time you whisper its name in this distribution center, everybody shudders. Like, it's that bad. And I get to do that.
That must not be named.
Yes. And it's rough. But yesterday in particular, because I think what happened was person trained me, and then the day he left, all the product doubled in size. And so it went from man, this is rough to holy fuck, what's going on here? What are you guys doing this to me? Everybody decided to order, and they want to, have me pick up 800 pounds worth of batteries. Suddenly it's come on, you guys are killing me here. But on Friday, it kind of went back to mostly normal. And it was also Friday, and I got myself hyped up for it. Everything went pretty smoothly. And so I feel like I'm on the right track. I got it feels nice to know, instead of panicking and not knowing what I'm doing and flying around in different, places and whatnot, hanging on to my GPS for life, I actually know what I'm doing. I feel comfortable with it. That was yesterday for me, or a few days ago for the listeners, and that felt fantastic. So
it'll just get easier over time, I would imagine, for a job like this. It's hard. Not hard, but there's a big learning curve initially, and then getting used to a new environment, and all of the other jazz that comes with a new job. And then over time, it should get easier, unless you have the one-off weird deliveries.
So I'm in charge of 7 different routes in case, it needs to get covered. And so there might be a time where I won't touch a route for years. Well, it probably not, because everybody gets sick or they have vacation eventually they want to spend. And so I'm doing it the hardest route this week, or last week, and this upcoming week. So I got another week where I can finally get even more comfortable with it. And then I might not see it for almost 6 months. I have no idea. Right. And it's kind of upsetting knowing that. But at the same time, it's nice knowing that I'm going to do the hardest one. And if I can do this, everything else should be a cakewalk.
Piece of cake, yeah.
The only difference is, every store that I go to has a specific, needs and wants. You got to put in this code, and you want it over here. You got to make sure it looks like this and this way. You can't pull in this way. But that stuff, I'm used to that. Every place I deliver always has house rules, essentially. And it's I respect that. Every time I go to see somebody, it's house rules. What's the rules here? And so that was going on, or I've been doing that. Last weekend, right after the day after our podcast, I went to Johnson's Farm, which is a local attraction in my area of Michigan, where we have what is called a pumpkin farm. And it's not really a festival so much as a large multimillionaire farmer decides to, celebrate the joys of pumpkins and show off their weird exotic animals at the same time, because it's like Michael Jackson's ghetto farm, I guess you could say.
Right. Yeah, I did a pumpkin farm last year. Yeah. We went with a bunch of friends and got like 3 little pumpkins, and they carved it up. I was just a driver because it was a bit out of the ways, and so I wasn't really interested in getting the pumpkins, but it was a fun trip.
So went with the wife, good friend, and then with my sister and brother-in-law alongside the 2 kids. And we went around and enjoyed pumpkins, and then stared at farm animals, because that's what's the better way to spend a Sunday than to stare at a llama that will eat out of your hand.
Oh, these gosh darn city folks driving out here to the country, staring at our animals.
I mean, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed them. I think there was one animal that particularly stank, but I don't remember what. But it's a farm, you expect that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is what it is.
The only thing that I was paranoid about with farm animals in particular is there was a goat section, which, goats are fine. Goats also apparently don't know when to stop eating, because some animals, they simply, like, by the time we got there at 3:00, they're like, I don't want to eat out of your hand. I got enough. But the goats are like, I could shit all day. Just keep feeding me. I got to get ready for winter. So there's technically 2 goat sections side by side, and they're separated by a wooden overhanging bridge that the goats can travel across, or preferably in their case, hang on over, right over the pathway where people can walk under
and shit on people.
I would not go under that thing with a goat up there. Like, I had to make sure I was between it, and I was not going to get shat on or pissed on by a goddamn goat. It was not going to happen. I did not, so that was good. Had a good times. They turned haystacks into popular figures of cartoon nature, like Minions, SpongeBob, and all that. Except they apparently didn't reference a picture, or they just wanted to toss it together real quickly, so it looked like what SpongeBob would like if you were having a bad trip of LSD or something like that.
Right.
And of course, my niece and nephew enjoyed it anyways. They're like, that's close enough. Let me dance and rip off Bob's nose. Great idea, by the way. And I think the final thing of that trip was apparently they have legendary, world-famous donuts that they make from scratch out of, was it apple cider or something like that? Or apple-based? Well, what are their donuts made from? Okay, anyways, so the world-famous thing...
technically, she's not wrong. They are made of dough.
The key ingredient that made them world-famous apparently was dough, and so I could give 2 flying fucks about these donuts, but... apparently they're so good that we waited in line for about 20 or so minutes, and they're very good, very warm. So I guess that was cool.
At least that's something.
Yes, I mean they weren't bad. I was trying to argue with Kroger's 20 minutes away. Come on, guys.
Yeah. It wasn't about the quality of the donut or the taste. It was about the time spent when you could have gone somewhere else and gotten a different kind of donut. But how often do you eat donuts?
I wish it was more often than I prefer, but my waistline says otherwise.
Right.
I get to eat, like, I used to, when I was over the road truck driving, I'd get them like maybe once a month, but this was probably the first time I touched a donut this year since, I got back in the business. Just don't really need them as much or eat them. I mean, I always need a donut, but you got to fight off that addiction.
Right. So it's your 3rd week at work. You just got your first paycheck. You went to the pumpkin farm with family, friends, had a good time. Mm-hmm. There is one other thing that I've noticed in your background. Would you care to talk about that?
Yes. Since you've been playing a certain game, I want to tell you all about these amiibos that are hanging over there that can be...
Couldn't give a fuck about the amiibos. I'm talking about right above the amiibos, Tyler. You know it.
That's heartbreaking, but that's also understandable. Yes, we were talking about it last week, but officially it is now on the wall. The PlayStation Vita has now been command stripped into a nice display case and stuck on the wall to be hopefully sitting there until all eternity. Like, it's so bad that provided it sticks to the frame properly, I'm okay with moving out of this house and leaving it there. Like it becomes a set piece. Where, like if you remove it, it becomes a curse.
And then all of a sudden, the house's value skyrockets to $3.8 billion because of this one relic left behind by the previous owners.
Okay. Meanwhile, the landlords are going to try to sell it like a $70,000-$80,000 home, trying to sell it up for $15,000. It's like, did somebody die here? And it's like, no, there's a PS Vita nailed on the wall, and we can't remove it. Otherwise,
humanity shall crumble, civilizations shall topple. But when the aliens finally descend upon us, all they will find is that Vita, command stripped into that frame on that wall.
And it's very nice because it's the first model, so it has the top-notch OLED, HD screen that came with the original Vita, where they kind of downgraded the screen later on.
Right.
So they'll see the hype of technology. They'll see, for a lack of better term for it, because OLED in particular is very nice for making what I call true darkness, or
right.
just really a true black. But beyond that, I guess the final thing is I'm trying to prep up for Kingdom Hearts next month, or not next month. I wish next month. About
next year, right?
2 years, 2-3. Sorry,
it's
2-3 months.
Yeah.
Yes. And next year, January. And we talked about this before. I tried playing Kingdom Hearts. It didn't quite work out the way I wanted to, because I realized it was boring as all hell. But at the same time, I still want to understand the storyline, because I'm 100% on board with playing Kingdom Hearts 3. So
right.
I'm listening to a podcast. I'm going to give a sweet plug to them called Got It Memorized, where two people are playing or otherwise watching through Kingdom Hearts from the beginning all the way to the end, trying to understand what the hell is going on and trying to explain away the inconsistencies, which they have a fun time doing sometimes. And so I'm glad that they're now doing what I won't, and play or watch this game and then explain to me what happens so I understand the story beats, while at the same time they're trash talking the left and right. And I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. I'm like, I know, right? Like I'm agreeing to myself, 2:30 in the morning in my truck driving in the middle of nowhere. It's like,
you gotta get the knowledge in, and you also have to find a better digestible way to get it in. So it sounds like you struck gold with that podcast.
Yeah, it's like if I got 4 hours of free time every day at the most, and I don't want to spend it watching a game I don't ever want to play, it's like, might as well just listen to it and enjoy it through a proper medium. So yeah, Got It Memorized, great podcast for catching up on Kingdom Hearts stuff. That's pretty much on my end. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get into the video?
No, I've been waiting to talk about the video games, actually.
Oh, I know you have.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we've been playing. Let's talk about Destiny.
Not been playing much Destiny. This week there was a lot to do. It was week 3 of Riven's curse in the Dreaming City. So the curse was at its strongest. That means the Shattered Throne dungeon is available this week. I would have attempted it by the time this comes out with some friends to get it done. It is a 590 required power level dungeon, so it is quite challenging, and it rewards an exotic weapon after you do it 2 or 3 times with a few other steps. So that's one. Iron Banner was in town for another week. Really challenging this time around because it was just filled with sweat lords from top to bottom, full 6 stacks. I've been going up against 6 stacks for most of it, but I got all my stuff done because all the bounties give powerful rewards.
What is a six stack?
6 stack is a 6-man fire team. So the PvP, the Crucible is 6v6.
I guess to me, I would call that as a full clan team of sorts. Or doesn't have to be a clan, but
yeah. So it became an easy shorthand term. I think I started using it in Overwatch, and so they've got a 3 stack on their team. So it's a three-man team going. We're fighting against or on our team, right?
A bunch of randos, typically, hopefully, anyways.
You would hope, but generally people in a stack in a game like Overwatch, you can't get a stack with randoms. But generally in a game like Destiny, there are usually people who know each other, and it can go either 2 ways. There's always 2 extremes. If it's a full stack, they're trying really hard and they're using all the cheeses that they can. And a full stack is a full 6-man, and so that's one possible full stack. The other possible full stack is they're using meme weapons that don't have a place in the meta, and they're just trying to have fun.
Like Tractor.
No, Tractor Cannon. Tractor Cannon is not a meme weapon. Tractor Cannon is a meta weapon. I use a Tractor Cannon. I hate myself. I know. You know what? I don't hate myself. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm fucking disgusting for using Tractor Cannon.
I saw it, man. You got like 5-6 kills in a row, just going up to the boop.
It is the worst gun in the. No, it's not the worst gun in the game. It is up there in the rankings. but it is a lot of fun to use. So I've been and this week there's been double and triple valor gains, and one of the weapons quest. There's a quest for a weapon, and that requires you to reset your valor rank 5 times. So that's your quick pay rank. I just reset my 4th. I just had my 4th reset, so I'm working on my 5th reset. And so by the time this comes out, I should have my 5th reset. Making full advantage of the triple gains by getting into a group with my friends and just getting on a 5 win streak and keeping that up. And so that leaves me, and this is the question that I'm sure is coming. That leaves me, I think, at 598.
Okay, so my joke song that I'll probably never get aired about 596 will not come to fruition. Because I said 596 and I was like, it'll be perfect. But it's like, shut the fuck up.
596 is fantastic, dude. Congratulations.
I didn't get it. What are you talking about?
You didn't get it?
No, I'm talking about you.
Oh, yeah,
no.
no.
How the hell would I get the 596?
I don't know. What are you at?
I have not, I know I wrote it here. I have not touched Destiny one bit this week.
Yikes. No, I understand that.
No, it's yikes because I could have at least put an hour or so in. Some days, there's been a couple of days where it's just not feasible. Like the amount of free time that I had, like for example, on Friday, was probably enough for me to get to the tower to collect the dailies with how long that freaking loading screen would take. But unfortunately, I did not get to play any Destiny this week. I supplemented it with something else that we all
Can I take a gander at what that might be?
You can take a goose at it, yes.
Is it possibly a Pokemon replica, but in a cube-like world?
It is voxel shape of sorts, but only in strictly cubical formats.
Right. Is it Pixelmon?
It might be Pixelmon. Okay, so hear me out.
Okay.
I only got about maybe 4 or 5 hours of gaming to do this week, unfortunately. And yes, I spent every fucking moment on the Pixelmon, like the monster I was. Because I'm very happy to say that I have breeded the ultimate Dratini team. Not a team, but like I'm able to breed perfect Dratinis now. And so that is my very unstable form of income. And I realized that that's not going to last forever. I'm going to get sick of that, and that's what's going to get me to quit, and I can finally be done with Pixelmon. However, the next project I wanted to do is, this whole thing is, if I want to play Pokemon, I'm going to want to build a team. And who else to smoke but my best friend, who, without fail, he'll do good, but eventually we'll be on even grounds, but then I'll take it one step further and start perfect EV training and all that stuff, and then I'll blow him out of the water, and then he proceeds to never play it again. And so I just need that one time to play against him. Problem is, though, he has not built a team at all. He just built a small gym. And so while I've been trying to make money to buy the Pokemon I want, i.e. Scizor, I now have a Scyther ready, and she is beautiful. I can't wait to use her to mess him up. But in the meantime, I've been spending my time hatching eggs and all that, waiting for the perfect opportunity for a Pokemon to appear on the GTS to build a gym, which currently is right now a 64 block by 64, this giant ass cube, like bigger than my house, and probably my house, Amanda's house, Brandon's house, and probably the mod level house combined. Like, it is a big ass cube.
Are you talking about wait? So you're talking about 64 by 64?
Yes.
Okay, that's a big cube.
Like in comparison to the Lego block, I don't know specifically, but each block is about 2-3 feet high. Okay. So we're talking. I'm sorry, you don't know feet.
No, we use feet.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
You guys don't use meters?
No, I understand feet because I'm 5'10". So
okay,
I know feet.
You're speaking the devil's tongue if you're in Canada, dude. Are you okay?
No, people use for height. Actually,
don't they use centimeters?
I think they use centimeters out here. I grew up using feet, so I'm just used to it.
Okay, cool. Bless you. You're the secret.
Yeah. So 2-3 feet. So it's like 2 or 3 Subway sandwiches put together. 12 inches. I know this. This is the stuff I know.
So I have a 200-foot high structure frame that I'm filling in the walls. It's taken a very long time. My original plan was to do the inside wall stone, and then one outside layer glass, and then fill the entire in between, which is one block with lava. So I was going to have this giant glass case filled with lava floating in the sky for all to see. And then I got yelled at by a mod saying, hey, you can't do that because that's a lot of lava. Please don't do that. Yeah, I can't stop you, but please don't do that. And it's like, okay,
I mean, what happened? Like, why not?
He cited 2 reasons. The first one is I have anti-griefing on it, so nobody can touch it unless I logged off for more than 60 days. After that, anybody could bust this giant lava cube and then let lava pour to the ground below, which is purely ocean. So that idea was out. The second one is anybody in the area that loaded in the chunk that is this giant lava cube that runs less than like, I don't know, 2 gigabytes of RAM would instantly have their computer freeze up just by being near my house. And so first one is, it's not a big deal. I have lava pouring around my house anyways, and if it pours in the water, it's just going to turn into cobblestone, not a big deal. Second one is, get good, scrub. If you want to face me in my gym, you need at least 4 gigabytes of RAM.
All it sounds like is that he's somebody who's jealous that he didn't think of it first. And so you're going to load it next time, and then you're going to see him building his own lava-filled gym, and you're going to be like, dude, what the fuck?
Well, the topic started with a guy asking if he can get a bucket of milk from a milk tank. And that brings up an interesting, concept. The answer is, I think somebody said yes. I was like, okay, I humored it. I was like, wait, maybe Pixelmon, there is an easy way for him to get lava. So I asked him, I was like, what's the best way to get a lava? Should I get a bunch of pools or something like that? And he's like, yeah, just got to find pools. Like, shame, because I really wanted to milk a Camerupt or something like that. Like, just slap an old bucket under the old mama Camerupt and start pumping up lava.
Got to milk a Slugma or a Macargo.
Yes, very dangerous, but very profitable. And so I was like, I need 4 stacks of lava, which a stack is 64. So when mods see somebody on a public server where lava is enabled saying that he needs 240 or 230 blocks worth of lava, red flags apparently came up to them. They're like, what do you need that for? I was like, oh, I was just asking for a friend. And then they immediately teleported me to see me build this giant death cube. Which basically, I'm trying to make this giant cube look cool outside, and it lights up in the night. Problem is, though, I built so high up that anybody that isn't on max settings can't even see it anyways, so it won't load it in. Hence, if it doesn't load in, the lava animation won't affect them. So the only way it's going to mess with them is if they, intended to be there by teleporting to me.
I would just do it.
Which the only people that do it, they're going to teleport to me that can, with my permission, would probably, be Amanda and my best friend Brandon.
Right.
And so they all swarm in and saying, "Oh no, you can't do that." And I'm like, "That's weird. It's not in the rules." And they're like, "Well, no, it's not in the rules, but it's a bad idea." Like, they started giving me that pep talk, and I'm like, "I'll strongly consider it." Right. I mean, it's like, can you guys give me a bunch of glowstone? No, we can't just give you something. Then I gotta rummage it myself, and lava's cheaper than glowstone, as it turns out. So that's been my plan. I'm gonna make a giant cube to make a huge. It's not gonna be a gym because they officially have gyms in there where you can challenge, gym leaders, try to get badges.
No, but players. It should be a showdown arena, and so you go into the cube, and there's like a floating platform, and
you bet your ass. I'm gonna have a large, stand up, kind of like Giovanni's gym, where it's gonna be a raised platform over here. One player throws his Pokemon across this giant battlefield, and the other one's gonna do it. And I'm gonna have like cool art, like maybe out of wool, like pixel art of like Scizor on one side, and maybe like a roaring Dragonite or something like that. Speaking of which, I gave my wife a Dratini because I love her and she loves Dratinis. And it turns out I gave her the smallest possible size. Microscopic. Now, I got myself a fairly large size Dratini. It's the second highest. I would venture to say it's about 25 feet tall. Hers, being microscopic, she had a Dragonite that's less than 2 feet tall. It's just bewildering to see it. Like, it looked like a pet dog that was a Dragonite. But yes, that's been my update. I'm an official Dratini breeder. I'm building a giant death cube to battle my friends. That is now under red light watch of the mods to make sure I'm not going to try to destroy the server. And that's pretty much it on my end. But there was one other game that we need to talk about. So, Nick, last time I talked with you, and I know the circumstances now because we explained it, The next big game that you were planning on getting and playing was Octopath Traveler. Now, has that been put onto the side for now?
Yeah, purely because of financial reasons. The moment I found out that I could borrow Breath of the Wild for free for 3 days and then renew it up to 3 times for 3 more days, I'm like, well, this makes a lot more sense. Let me just get this, and it works out because the Switch actually saves game data locally, not on the cartridge. And so I'm like, this is perfect.
Like the DS.
So like I can just if I ever if I'm going through like a busy spell, I can just return this and then borrow it back whenever to complete it whenever I want, right?
It's fantastic, and amazing. Like, even if you don't want to borrow it, let's say some reason had it land in your lap for some reason, you can pop in a new one, and it doesn't like say, oh, this doesn't register with the ID of the other.
Yeah. So eventually, if I do end up getting like a Breath of the Wild copy of my own, I can just pick up where I left off.
And I just want to sidestep and say it on the record, just so Nick, who might be listening to this, my best friend Nick, your close friend, he did send you Splatoon. He did not give me a tracking number as I was hoping, so be on the lookout.
It'll be a nice surprise. Whenever it comes, it comes.
If it comes, if it doesn't come,
what happens?
I mean, will they eventually leave a sticker? Maybe sometime. Might.
So no, this should it should, if it's in the case, it should fit straight in my mailbox. So
okay. I think it might actually be smaller than the case. I think he might have just put the fucking cartridge in a large bag.
And so if it's a small envelope, or if they fold it, it should fit right in my mailbox.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Perfect. So Nick did send you that out of the love of his heart. He sent you Splatoon 2. Thank you, Nick. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it too.
And we can hopefully drag you into the tragic story that is Splatoon 2 and turn you into a sweaty ink lord or something like that.
Let's see what happens.
I know, right? So, however, Octopath Traveler to the side, Splatoon 2 to the side. We have talked. We agreed. You now have, or at least are borrowing, a copy of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this was a complete surprise to me. I didn't realize you were playing this until, I think, yesterday.
And because I only got it on Thursday or Friday. I can't remember when I got it. But
the moment I got it, day, and I'll believe you. You know that, right? You could tell me tomorrow, and I was like, "Oh, sure."
No, I'm trying to backtrack for my own memory recollection. Keep track of it. I haven't had it for too long. So a couple of things.
Yes,
I need the Pro controller. I really do.
Yes, you do.
That little sliding controller that comes with the Switch,
the Joy-Con grip, they call it,
is handy, but it sucks.
It's like Joy-Cons by themselves, they feel great, especially in multiplayer sense. But when it comes to a nice single-player game like you're playing right now, you understand. You're pretty much saying,
okay, let me put it this way: if you've never had experience, or you've never spent a lot of time with a regular controller, it probably wouldn't matter to you. But because I have, like, to some extent, it wouldn't matter as much as it matters to me.
Pretty small. I got giant ham hands, dude.
Oh no, sure. But so what I'm saying is, I've spent thousands of hours on my Xbox 360 controller and my Xbox One controller. So because I have that contact memory, that experience with the controller that's that shape.
Your fingers, when you close your hand, naturally look like they grip around a controller.
I have that grip. So
I know the feeling. I got the
Joy-Con is weird, especially because of the shape, but it's okay. It is what it is for now. The other thing that I noticed, watching somebody play Breath of the Wild on stream and then actually playing it are two different experiences. It is a beautiful game. I wasn't expecting it. The just everything about it is amazing. Like I was honestly taken aback the first hour I played through it, when I was seeing the way the grass moves, the way the environment moves, the way when you hit the end of a shrine and he does the thing and it goes boop and then it just disappears and you see like the little blue needles come into the screen. It was fantastic. And so I'm scared because it sucked me in. Same with Octopath. The only reason I didn't get sucked into Octopath was because I couldn't buy it. But here I have a copy that I can hold for up to 12 days, and all I want to do is just roam around and look for everything. I got to the stables and they're like, and little two kids who give you the tutorial about horses. They're like, oh, you got to do this to get, tame a wild horse, whatever. They're like, get a spotted one because those are easier, but the solid color ones are harder. And I'm like, I want a solid one. Bitch, what you mean? I went, found a solid one, tamed it within 2 minutes, got it.
So I got a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
You said you watched a lot of streaming of this. About how much of the game would you say that you've seen? Like in terms of hours, percentage? I guess percentage is pretty hard. I would say, how many hours of streaming did you actually like attentively watch Breath of the Wild play?
I would say about, I think a good round figure would be somewhere around 20 hours.
Okay.
I don't want to downplay too much. It is probably less than that, but it's not insurmountably like more than that. So 20 hours sounds about right. And I've watched some main story plays, like main game, like main quest gameplay. So I've seen some of the Divine Beast being like the puzzles being solved. I've seen like the final boss fight with Calamity Ganon. So, and I'm not too worried about that. I really just want to explore. Like I want to like go and find out everything.
I do have a second question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen in the game of you playing that you were surprised by because you did not either you didn't see it in streaming, or you have seen it in streaming but you realized it had a completely different concept to you? What was completely surprising for you?
Honestly, the fact it's not complicated. It's just new, or it's a little different. Dodging is a little different.
Are you talking about doing the timed flurry strikes kind of thing?
No, not about the flurry strikes, but actually like, so one thing that tripped me up, it could be that I just don't know how to do it, but you have to hold, I think that it's ZL, so I'm just going to call it L2.
Z,
you have to hold L2 to like lock on.
Okay, sure.
But then you have to hit it again to change targets. Right? You can't do it another way. Like you can't use the right stick to change targets. That's like a general targeting system, like how that would work. So like you'll hit the target thing, and then you'll move the right stick accordingly to sort of like switch targets. So
I feel like there is a way, but it could just be complicated. Where I think if you do like the right thumbstick, it only changes the way you look. If you focus like away from the target completely and look on someone, I think it might auto lock, but I'm not 100% sure.
Right. So there's that, and then just there was no like dodge. You had to like lock onto something and then jump, and that was your dodge. But there was no like default dodge from the get-go. So when like navigating environments with boulders rolling down the mountainside or whatever is just different. What else? The button placements were a little bit weird, where you have by default B for running, which I'm used to for Pokemon, but Y at the top for jumping, which is strange.
Now, have you ever played a Zelda game before this?
No, this is my first Zelda game.
So this is the first game that they have actually introduced a button dedicated to jumping ever.
Okay.
Link has, unless you have an item called Rock's Feather, which appeared in a couple of games as an actual item to give you the ability to jump. No shit. This is the first game where you could push a button and Link could jump. Right. And people are dumbfounded by that because Link has never been able to jump unless you jump by running off an edge. Right. Then Link would auto jump, but Link has never been able to jump before. And it would have been nice that they could have pushed a button where Link could have like jump or tumbled to the side like willy-nilly like versus targeting someone first. But them's the breaks. Technically you can dodge someone without targeting by running in a random direction and pressing A to roll. I'm not sure if that'd be something you'd want though.
You can roll?
Oh, maybe I'm just thinking of an old game. Yeah, I guess I am. It's been a while since I played Breath of the Wild. I guess you can't even roll in this game, can you?
Well, I guess I'll find out later on. But yeah, no, so okay, that makes sense. If there was never jumping in the game before, so sprint usually is bound to L, the left stick, so pushing in the left stick.
Okay.
In most games that I've played, that I have experience with on a controller, sprint is bound to the pressing in the left stick, and then so you'd have that bottom button X, A or B in this case with all the three different controllers would be jump, and then the one on the left, which is in this game for attack, sure, that works fine, and so it's just different from the button mappings that I'm used to compared to what it is. And so these are all the technical stuff. Otherwise, it's the game systems are pretty intuitive. You have environmental factors, and so your clothing and the food that you cook and eat counters those things. The crouching, the noise detection, that was a really cool feature, I thought, where you had the little audio level detector and the little meter. That was really cool. You suggested that I put the game in Japanese audio, which thank God for that, because I hate dubbed anime, like Japanese, like I hate dubbed audio. It just always, for the most part, sounds terrible.
Again, first time that they introduced like full on, well, not full on, but more voice acting than 3 words. Like in the original, like Ocarina of Time, they had simply Navi going, "Hey, listen," and that was heavily compressed and it was bad. But then the only other time beyond that they actually said legit words was in Wind Waker, and that's Link saying, "Come on." And then after that, it's just been either laughing or chuckling and whatnot. But no, this is the first time they had, like tried to do full on sentences. But of course, I don't want to trash talk the English voice actors for this, but they leave something to be heavily desired.
Yeah.
Like I said, I actually know like the names behind these voice actors, and I don't like the idea of trash talking them because they did their best, and maybe they just needed some more practice, or they needed more time with it. Nintendo rushed them. I don't know the circumstances, but by far the Japanese voice actors make it seem a lot nicer because they could be the worst voice actors in the world, but as long as they're making noises that sound like moon runes, then good enough for me, right?
Yeah. Graphics are amazing. Gameplay is I'm still getting the hang of it. Combat's not, I don't know how I feel about the combat yet. That's the only thing. It's not the worst. It's not the greatest yet, but this is me in mostly like exploration mode right now.
I was gonna say, no offense to you, but like the first 10 hours, it doesn't really feel like combat versus trying to keep away from them as much as you can and try to cheese kill them as often as you can.
I mean, I'll do that when there's like a big group of them and I see a nice little explosive barrel there and I know it's going to chain, and then I'll pull out a bomb arrow or a fire arrow and do that. But otherwise, I just run straight at everything. I had the hardest fight, like right off the bat, against 2 of the swimming lizard people that have armor on them.
Zathos, yes.
Oh, they were difficult because they're fast, and like the dodging time was different compared to the Bokoblins, I think they're called.
Yeah. They're Bokoblins. You can call them whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I just like that I like that I could tame a horse. That was pretty cool. And then I give it apples, and then pet it, and then it fall in love with me, and then we're gonna.
Did you saddle it up and everything?
Yeah, registered it. Everything's done.
What did you call it?
I called him Roach.
Roach. Okay.
Yes.
Now, the only video game reference I know for Roach is Roach from Heavenly Sword, which is a Ninja Theory game for the PS3. So you're gonna have to humor me. Why did you call him Roach?
Because the horse in Witcher 3 is Roach.
Wait, in The Witcher 3 is Roach?
Yes.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean,
Geralt has had plenty of horses, and all of his horses has been named Roach, and all of them have been loyal to a fault.
Okay, I was gonna say that that's actually kind of desensitizing, I guess. Like, oh, you're gonna be the next Roach. It's like, it's not a name, it's a legacy. You're gonna be my horse. Look at my horse. This horse is amazing. So have you decided which I was gonna say which gym, sorry, Pixelmon, what dungeon or divine beast do you think you're gonna be heading for? Which area do you think you're gonna do first? Because right now, I believe you told me you are venturing into the second area, which I believe is the area with Kakariko and Hatino Village.
Yes. So that's the place that I'm at. The names are gonna take a while to grow on me.
It's okay.
I met the old lady, and she's like, I'll only tell you Zelda's words if you're really sure, and then come back and let me know if you're really sure. And then you sort of like stand there, run around in a little circle, and then we're like, okay, I'm really sure. And she's like, find the divine beast, or like free the divine beast. We're like,
dun, 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 quest line.
I mean, the whole like the king already told us that these divine beasts are taking over, whatever. I'm like, well, I probably am gonna have to release them, right? So that's probably what's gonna happen. And I know I've seen the gameplay of it, and I know that when you free each divine beast, you get a different power for each. I don't know what they do yet, except for the bird, and that just gives you like a whoop, like you just go all the way up.
Yes, just give you. I believe you can use. It'll give you like 3 uses before it goes on cooldown.
Yeah,
and it gives you a nice boost. So if you're into exploration, that'd probably be the one you would want to aim for first. Like each one has a different focus. I would say Rivali's is exploration. Right. The volcano one is for protection. The water one, which is probably the one that most people do first, is more for survivability.
Right. And
then the last one, which is the desert, would be strictly offensive.
Right.
So I mean, it really suits your taste of how you want to do it. I always did the offensive one or the desert one last, but you could do any one you want, baby.
So my focus is to get the Master Sword as soon as possible, because that's been my goal. Because because I'm like, well, I've never played a Zelda game. I feel like I should have the Master Sword immediately. I don't know if that's skewed logic. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I'm like, this makes sense. It would make sense if I had a weapon that I knew I could always rely on. I do know that against like regular enemies, it does go on cooldown after a little bit of time, and then you'd still have to have a stockpile of other weapons. But like worst case, I'll have this weapon fall back on.
That is true.
And so I know I have to get up to 13 hearts, and I think I confirmed with you. I confirmed that with you earlier, and so it falls in line because I have to explore.
Technically speaking, that means you only have to do 40 shrines if you don't want to do any dungeons or whatnot. And if you accidentally put anything in stamina and you want to switch it out, there is a way that you can switch between hearts and stamina, just so you know. And if you ever want to figure that out and you don't want to Google it or whatnot, you can ask me and I'll let you know. But I figured I'll just let you know that you're not screwed over if you're that in big of a rush to get to the Master Sword.
No, I put I put my first 4 into stamina, and I'm gonna keep it there because it helps me just in general. And I might switch it up. I might put maybe 2 more into stamina, and so like just not force myself, but I'll have to do more shrines regardless, because I'm the kind of person who likes to be absolutely overpowered for the final. Like I just want to like breeze through everything.
And for the boss fight in particular, obviously hearts is more important than stamina, but I mean, that might actually not be true because of spin attack capabilities. Couple of things. Once you get the Master Sword, you don't have to have 13 hearts anymore. And I told you what I said about you can mix between the stamina and hearts. I think what I personally did is I got the 13 hearts, and then I started like beefing up my stamina like crazy so I could explore a lot better. Because exploring and stamina go hand in hand, as it turns out, compared to the hearts. Like, as long as you don't encounter a silver bokoblin on a warthog or anything like that, and he doesn't see you, you could run around 3 hearts if you really wanted to. But at the same time, if you see a giant mountain face and you see a shrine at the very top, and you need to climb that mountain face, well, sometimes, I mean, you could cook a lot of food to give you stamina back if you want to, but at the same time, it's like if you cook a completely refilling stamina and you only have 1 wheel versus 2, it's like you're wasting food at that point. There's different values to everything. Have you decided like what divine beast you might want to look for or go for first?
No, I haven't even thought that far yet. I just want to.
You're strictly you want to go for the shrines right now.
Yeah, I just want to like see what happens along the way. Yeah.
Okay. And if you see, I'm trying to remember what it's called, but there are certain shrines where it's like a modest test in strength. If you ever find something, I believe it's called a measured test in strength, just run, please. Don't hurt yourself. There's only suffering to be had.
Are they the ones where you keep going down and down and down and down, and then you have like resting periods in between, or are those different? Are those trials?
That sounds like a savage labyrinth of sorts. But a measured test of strength essentially is you go into the shrine, and it's just a giant square with a very, very hard, difficult to beat mini guardian thing.
Right.
And like the minor and modest, you should be able to handle your level, but the major ones, like I guess to put in perspective, I think modest has 500 health and a major has 3,000, and it has 3 different types of weapons typically, and it's meant to break you. I would say after the Master Sword, if you got 13 hearts, you should have a good shot. But I say it's not good because A, you would burn out every single weapon you had just trying to beat this motherfucker. And B, if you did that and still lost, I would be gritting my teeth. I did it once, and then I was like, I'm not touching these until when I'm sweeping up the shrines. And then after that, it wasn't too bad. But that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah.
And also, if you're ever fighting a guy that won't die in 5 hits, picking a large 2-handed weapon where you can do a spin attack is fantastic for doing the most damage. But that's just personal preference. Have you considered, you probably don't have any of the DLC packs, right?
No. I'd want to finish the first the base story before I can do that.
Okay.
And I'm like that with even with The Witcher. I didn't touch any of the DLCs until I finished the base story first.
And I 100% understand. I just want to give you a heads up. The first DLC pack is okay. gives you a couple of cool things like Majora's Mask or whatnot. Majora's Mask I like in particular, especially during hero mode, because upon wearing it, most enemies will not attack you unless you strike them first.
Right.
And but DLC Pack 2, I would 100% recommend if you get as far as defeating the 4 Divine Beasts, or whatever the equivalent is for that. Because it focuses on the backstory of each of the champions, and then it introduces...
the Ballad of Heroes, was it called?
The Ballad of Champions, yes.
Ballad of Champions, yeah.
And it introduces a cool concept that will lead to one hell of an additional storyline bit. And so if you do play and you get that far, 100%, I don't know how much it would cost just to get that DLC pack. I wouldn't recommend the season pack anymore. But that particular DLC made it so worth it.
Okay.
But... we'll talk about more about Zelda Lair. That was a hell of a lair, actually. So, we are on to the modular segment.
Yes, I'm excited for this one.
This is, we're going to pick a different segment. This is the Tyler Spanks Nickel Challenge. And I'm going to spank him really hard. Really, really hard. This is a nice spiked wooden paddle. Actually, sorry, that was the BDSM one. My bad.
That's not this week, Tyler.
I know, sorry. That's for the bonus content later. I'm gonna say he said a date. He didn't say who. I'm gonna wear a nice wig tonight. But we're gonna do what is called the Who Would Win Challenge, where we pick 2 video game characters of similar tiers and attributes and see who could beat each other in a battle. Now, there's been a lot of discussion like that. There's been a lot of YouTube videos, Cloud versus Link and all that stuff, and it's like, okay, sure, but who would pick these lesser known characters and pit them against each other? It's not like they're lesser known. Like, for example, here we're gonna decide, Nick, who are you representing?
I am representing a Overwatch character, hero, Tracer. Tracer is, I believe, the mascot for Overwatch. Blizzard was criticized for making Tracer too sexualized in the first cover art, or the first promotional images leaked, and so they had a victory
pose that was very questionable. Yes, and they kind of changed it to where
I see it as people being overly sensitive, but that's just me.
I agree.
Yeah,
but she did a pose that's more V for victory.
Honestly, it was just as suggestive. If that's the argument that people are making, the next pose up was just as suggestive.
I think the argument was one was demeaning, where the other one was more empowering. Where but I don't remember what they look like. So yes, you're going to represent Overwatch's Tracer, the speedster cavalry from what I thought was Australia, but in fact Great Britain. Whoopsie. I myself, I needed to find someone that could match her speed and then some, and see if I could use that to overtake her. I chose Sega's classic, the finger-waggling speedster, the blue blur. I am choosing Sonic the Hedgehog to go against Tracer to see who would win. Now,
and this works out because I really don't know much about Sonic except for the fact that he has a counterpart named Knuckles. Counterpart, partner, anti-hero, I'm not really sure.
Knuckles, the echidna. I would say that his nemesis / rival would, technically it was for that game, would probably be more like Shadow the Hedgehog, the dark emo version of him.
Oh, so no, I was thinking of Shadow. Okay, so I know more than one character. There's
okay, so you.
There's also Tails, and then there's the robot egg doctor evil guy.
Yes, the robot known as Dr. Egg Doctor evil guy. Yes,
that guy.
I believe in English they did the translation the Dr. Eggman, but yes.
Right.
It's funny because I always knew him as Dr. Robotnik because that was his original name, Dr. Ivan Robotnik, and then Sonic started calling him Eggman, and then Eggman hated that. But then eventually it was just they just call him Eggman now permanently. It's like, oh, that's my name, ha ha ha. He's gone and got checked in and out of a mental institute so many times. Like, I'm Eggman now. I'm the Eggman. Ha ha ha. So yes, Sonic the Hedgehog versus Tracer. Do you want to make an opening argument, or do you want me to start my case here?
Not
you probably should state the rules too.
Sure. Before we go into that, I was thinking I'd give a little backstory on Tracer.
Of course, go right ahead.
Yeah. So Tracer's Tracer, her name is Lena Oxton. She was, and this was during Overwatch's active days. She was recruited into their experimental test flight program, and her call sign or her call name was Tracer. And it was an experimental ship that she was drafted into and the ship just disappeared one day. Nobody knows what happened, because it was a ship. I don't remember if it was a time jumping ship, but whatever happened caused her molecular structure to change, and so she had chronal dissociation. Chronal dissociation. So she was both within our current time, but also not at the same time. So she was, you could put your hand through her and stuff like that. She was here, but not here. And she'd disappear sometimes for days, weeks, and then she'd come back. And then one of Overwatch's original characters, Winston, a super smart monkey.
Hey,
ape.
he is not a monkey. He's a scientist.
You are correct. A scientist. He created a device called, what was it called? The chronal accelerator. And so that kept her anchored to like our present time. And so it's not speed, it's actually time. So she can control her own time, and so she can move forward, move her place in time, she can move backward in time. And so I'm gonna pass it on to you now. Please tell me a little bit about Sonic the Hedgehog.
So Sonic the Hedgehog, he first came out in a game that was in 1991 called the self-titular Sonic the Hedgehog. He did come from a little inhabitants of a world called South Island, where he was happily living amongst the forest with a bunch of little animals, bunnies and whatnot, when the evil Dr. Ivo Robotnik, aka I'm the Eggman, decided to, steal all the emeralds, or he was trying to get all the emeralds, and in doing so, he needed to build an army of robotic creatures using the animals. Obviously, Sonic is a pacifist, aka he loves murdering anybody that tries to, create war. And so he chased after Dr. Robotnik and defeated him. Now, the game design focused more on a curvy feature versus the square style at the time, such as more Mario-based. If you think about it, everything was square-shaped. Whereas Sonic and Sega, in particular, wanted to do something more curvy to show that everything was more fluid and moving. Sonic himself is a character of his main ability is, of course, speed. He can run fast. He can go fast. It was at one point portrayed that in order for him to go fast, he had to ball up into a ball and then start charging up to go fast. It has since been retconned that he can simply run fast.
Right.
Now, being his main ability, he can go up to, under normal circumstances, about 760 miles per hour, which is considered the speed of sound. However,
760 miles an hour is 1,223 kilometers an hour.
And that is strictly by running without boosters or anything like that. However, there's been a couple of games where he's been able to go even faster than that. Approximately, I believe, 8 times that speed. There's also been a point where he's gotten an item called light speed boots, where for a small instance allows him to go to the speed of light. However, in this argument, I will be saying that he has his regular boots because that would be fucking atrocious. So his main speed, without having to push himself, will be the speed of sound that Tracer will have to face. Okay. Sonic the Hedgehog in most games has the same ability and muscle structure of that of Shadow the Hedgehog, who they both agree to have superhuman strength, equal that of a little bit higher than Captain America, are able to pick up a full-size bus unoccupied and throw it. So he has the strength of approximately 10 to 50 ton, depending on if he's going to be a mama bear or if he's just trying to toss something around. He does have the ability to turn invincible for the split of a second. Now, they argue that in the game design, they did this for the invincibility sake, where if he gets hit by a damaging, he would turn invincible for a split second as the rings pop out of him. However, there's been a couple of games where apparently he is able to do a parry attack where he can create a special barrier around him to turn himself invincible for that split second.
Right.
In this instance, I'm not going to argue that because that seems kind of convoluted and kind of cheap in a situation like this. I'm going to make my argument mostly on his ability to outmaneuver not only Tracer, but her cognitive senses. She is not going to be able to keep up with him, and he's going to be able to do things she wished she could do.
Right.
So, that is Sonic the Hedgehog, the Blue Blur. He does have a bunch of companions that appear later on in the series. This will be a one-on-one fight between Sonic the Hedgehog and Tracer. And the rules in this case is going to be a standard Overwatch urban style map. You can pick whatever map you want. Then I'll forget every distinguishable feature about it. Winning includes a knockout or elimination.
Right.
If one of them, if you can convince one of the other to give up or submit, or a forced removal from the arena, such as if Tracer can flick Sonic in the forehead and instantly teleport him into the sun or something like that, I would say that'd be a forced removal. Also, that'd be one crispy hedgehog. So, would you like to make your first opening case?
No, I'm going to defer to you, sir.
Okay. I do have a couple of questions about Tracer because I did not research Tracer as much. You said the accelerator, which I believe is the large gear that is on her chest, right? That gives her the ability to slow/stop time, giving her the concept of being speedy.
Yes.
Okay. How fast or how long can she do this ability? And what do you think is the proper speed that she gets by doing this in her blink ability?
So in terms of cooldown in the games, I believe it's you get it once. You start with 3 blinks. Okay. And they take about 4 seconds to come back. And then your recall ability is on a 10-second cooldown, and it takes you 3 seconds back into the past, or in terms of physical position. So I don't know how that translates into a quote-unquote real-life situation. So there are plenty in the other Overwatch animation shorts. It seems that she can use her blink as many times as she wants, but I've not actually seen her use her recall. Or I could be wrong, or I could be forgetting something. But it seems like her blinks are pretty much unlimited. And now in terms of speed, that I think in this case comes down to her cognitive abilities.
Now, do you think she can outspeed the speed of sound? Do you think she can do whatever the 1,000 billion kilometers or 760 miles per hour? Do you think she can outmaneuver that? Because the speed of sound, I mean, you've seen a 70 mile per hour car, a tenth of that speed is fairly fast, or 120 kilometers, whatever the heck you want to call. And just to double that in like a space car, that's pretty fast to react to. Now, Tracer does have the ability to, she's very accurate, she's very smart, she's quick thinking, but I don't think she can do something such as dodge a blue blur that is going well over 10 times the speed of a normal, highway car. Now,
so
go ahead.
To not to counter anything, but to continue that argument, if we talk about it in a drag race style, I believe she might be able to beat the speed of sound in a large distance, but not in a short amount of distance.
Like super power blinking, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like just constantly, because you have to think about it as teleportation rather than movement, right? So because she's able to teleport and it's instantaneous, in a longer distance, I believe she could beat the speed of sound, but in a short distances, no. Now, fighting somebody who's already charged up to the speed of sound, unless she has the reflexes of a god and can cognitively acknowledge that something is flying at her at the speed of sound, it would be a hard fight.
Now, this would be in an urban area, and Sonic has been able to show that he can turn corners literally on a dime. So right. He could come out like last second and just bash into her. And if not, he could just keep moving and just keep whirling around like it's a crazy maze.
Right.
Now, I'm wondering if Tracer had like a rough idea, even if it was just a split second, because split seconds is a possibility under extreme duress. If she could stop time, does she, and say the animation, can she stop time and instead of just charging straight forward, like move to the side or otherwise put herself in a more advantageous position than just dashing forward?
So just to reiterate, it doesn't allow. So she can't stop time. It gives her the ability to control her own time.
Okay.
So she's able to... It would be hard to explain because there's also not a lot of lore backing this up. But because she can stop her own time, she can put herself wherever she needs to be. Now, again, like I said, it comes down to pure cognitive function, whether her mind and her body are able to keep up with the decision making. So like if she can see Sonic flying at her at the speed of sound, and then react in time, make a conscious decision to blink away. And if she can keep that up, I think she could run circles around Sonic. But in terms of defeating Sonic in terms of power, I don't know what would happen.
So let's say hypothetically, I wonder how fast if she could consistently blink let's say in this Overwatch map, she would have a pretty good idea knowing where everything was at. So if we were to go by your animation rules to where she could blink as many damn times as she pleased, if she went on the offensive, she could just as easily just blink and jump anywhere as fast as Sonic could. In such a way that, as long as she kept it random or whatnot, Sonic would have a hell of a time trying to catch up to her or, find a way to route her off. Now, I'm concerned, what's her main arsenal right now? Because obviously she's not punching Sonic, where Sonic would just try to ram or jump onto her.
No, she's got a pair of pistols that put out about 40 rounds each.
How fast, how many rounds per second or minute can these things shoot? Because they can shoot pretty fast, can't they?
20 shots per second.
Okay, so that is incredibly fast, first off. If she were able to get that anywhere in Sonic's direction, like you put Sonic in a straight alleyway, and I don't know why I'm trying to argue on your behalf, because, screw you. But if Sonic was in a straight alleyway 20 times per second, that'd still be a rough challenge for Sonic to do, because Eggman likes to shoot his bullets and his lasers, but not nearly as fast as that.
But they don't do a lot of damage. They're only about, if we're going by Overwatch damage numbers, it's only about 1.5 to 6 per shot. Okay. And so it's not like a large amount of damage. She does have a pulse bomb that she uses in the games.
Yes,
and
ability.
And they do about 300 damage if stuck or by proximity. So it can go anywhere from 5 to 300. So if you're further away from it and if it's on the ground, it'll do only about 5. And that's the lower limit. But then when you're stuck or like right on top of it, it'll do 300. So my cup here, I'm not even like fighting for it at this point.
No, it's okay. How would Tracer beat Sonic in your eyes? What do you think she could do? She
would have to avoid taking any direct damage. So in the animated shorts, there was one instance where she took some damage from Widowmaker. Actually, on the two different ones, she took damage from Widowmaker, the sniper character in Overwatch, and in one of them, it knocked out her chronal accelerator. So that was it. That was game over for her. She couldn't blink. She couldn't use any of her abilities. She had to go and get fixed up by Winston. And in the other one, it took a little bit of damage and needed some time to reboot. So she has to avoid getting hit at all costs because it's not invincible.
What you're trying to say, which, God forbid you play into my hands, Sonic would just simply, instead of trying to ram or anything, he would just have to come close enough and fast enough to either damage the accelerator on her chest or otherwise, try to remove it or do something like that to pretty much put her out of the fight.
Pretty much. And then at that point, she won't be able to control her own time. She might dissipate for, a few days, few hours, few weeks at a time, then come back, and then they'd have to reattach the chronal accelerator again. So that's one possible way Sonic could win.
Sonic typically is cocky and arrogant. Do you think she could somehow be cunning enough to outsmart him into his own confidence there? Or is she more of the outgoing kind of person? She wouldn't try to go to such means.
She's a mix of both from what I've seen, but Overwatch generally operates as teams. And so she was always the recon unit, the flanker unit, the sort of like go and distract them, we'll push in from this side kind of person, So I don't know how she would fare on her own in a fight against somebody who's a lot stronger and who's a lot faster.
Well, he's not stronger per se. He
has superhuman strength enough to lift a bus on his own.
Yes, but that's like if he's standing on the ground lifting up in the air. He I believe he's only weighing like maybe 30 or 40 pounds. Now, granted, a bullet usually travels like a standard 22 or a 9mm bullet would go around that same speed, a little bit less. And so you're being hit by a bullet that is, a pile of fur and water, but it's still at least like 1.5 feet wide. So I guess being hit by an extra large cannonball could be a little just stressful, or not just stressful. It'd be stressful. However, I guess if she could consistently dodge, not by timing his coming in, but simply just doing it as often as she can while keeping her bearings, she would have to figure out if he follows a pattern of some sort using his speed. And then maybe, I feel like the only way she'd be able to win at this point is to stick him with that sticky bomb that'd take him out immediately.
And blow him to smithereens.
So how could you beat Sonic? Because Sonic isn't the type of person to kill. He would disable you in some shape or form or beat you in some way. But he's not against the idea of winning or defeating his opponents in a race. So I feel like if Tracer were to challenge him to a speed race and Sonic were to accept, I guess the big question is, would she be morally willing to challenge him to a race, but then at the right opportune moment, use the sticky bomb to take him out of the picture.
Because one of her life mottos, and I have it here, is not life mottos, but in the game's lore is that Overwatch gets dissolved eventually, and Tracer on her own acts as an independent, like sort of quote unquote rogue agent, where she continues to right wrong things across the globe and fight for the people against forces of evil or whatever. So if there was a way to make things fun and not end in like bloodshed or necessarily violence, I think she would partake in that. She was a big fan of one of the Omnic spiritual leaders. So the Omnics are a race of sentient robots in the Overwatch universe, and humanity and Omnics are at war with each other. And there are a few pacifist spiritual leaders in the Omnic communities trying to make peace with the humans. And so she was a big fan of one of them before he was assassinated. And so she liked to follow his teachings. So I believe in that scenario, she wouldn't stick him. She just challenged him to good old-fashioned race, and if she lost, she lost.
I see. Okay, then if you want to wrap it up there, this is based off what I could find. If it was a competitive or a life-threatening battle to the death, which is unlike either of the characters, so it does not seem like it'd be a real thing. Now, Tracer does shoot and she does kill. Like she has guns, and
her guns. Overwatch was used mainly to fight the Omnic uprising. So sure, she was killing. I'm not about to start a whole.
Are you about to start the debate of Detroit Become Human again? Jeez.
She was protecting humans versus angry sentient robots.
Okay,
that's what her literal actions were.
Okay, so in this case, if they were to fight to the death, which seems unlikely because they're both morally good people, I feel like Sonic would win.
I feel like Sonic would win too.
Because if all he has to do, because his main weakness is his inability to swim. So I don't know if there's any water worlds or water sections in Overwatch that you could use where it's not a kiddie pool. But other than that, Sonic can even traverse across water in some games.
As long as he's going fast enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, really, the only advantage you could have is either set a booby trap, because Sonic, he's strictly melee. He has to come in for the kill. And Tracer, she's mostly ranged. And even if she were to get hit, as long as it didn't like damage her accelerator enough, she could simply go back in time a few seconds, and take the hit and walk it back. And I wonder, it's a shame that controlling her own time isn't the same as controlling everybody's time. Because if she knew what was going to happen, just had to dial it back 3 seconds.
No, yeah,
if she could
control time, all she has to do is just like pause, go, stick him on the forehead, walk away a little bit, get to safe distance, unpause, and then
could she technically do that?
No.
Okay. Because it's weird, because you say control her own time. Does that just in terms of like function and damage of her place there? Because I guess no, it does make sense, because to us it'll appear as speed because she's controlling strictly her own time, versus because it shows her kind of like moving super fast for a second versus just booping, right? And I do believe Tracer, she it's not considered a blink, because if she walks over a trap, for example, Widowmaker's poison trap, or what's the name of the Junkrat's bear trap thing?
Yeah.
She still steps on it. She doesn't teleport
to some extent. Depends on what point in her blink it is. If it's towards the end or the start, then yes. But if it's in the middle, I think she has some immunity, invulnerability.
But Sonic, if Sonic is not in danger, or he doesn't have to fight anybody in danger to where he doesn't have to fight to the death, and Tracer wanted to settle this through a race, and she knew that he was fast and whatnot, I feel like it would be settled that way. Sonic is not the kind of person to play dirty in any shape or form.
Right.
He's always been fair about integrity about that. And I feel like Tracer might be pretty much the same, where it would just turn into a very heated race around this entire map, or until one of them tuckers out. Like, I wonder, is there a limit for the accelerator? Would the accelerator ever burn out?
No idea.
We have no definition to suggest that. No. Sonic, for the most part, it showed, we've seen Sonic, in like cartoons and Huff and Puff after a while, but for the most part, we've seen Sonic like run for a very, very long time at max speed, and it would just take I don't know. I think it would be a fair fight, but I think it would be a very boring NASCAR fight.
So if we're talking about interesting Overwatch characters versus Sonic, it'd be May versus Sonic, because May could just freeze him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be a hell of a challenge. And even if she didn't want to freeze him, she could freeze the ground and just make it even more difficult for him.
That so going by in-game
She can't freeze the
mechanics.
ground technically, but
No, so yes, all she has to do is lure him into a room, close off the room with an ice wall, launch a blizzard trap in there, and then use her alternate fire to stick ice spikes into his head until he died.
do you think May would have the heart to do something like that? Because
No, she
technically,
wouldn't. No, she's a
say
world
he would be-
traveler, a peaceful person. She's an
he would be
ecologist.
technically be incapacitated at that point.
Yeah.
Would she have to execute him? Okay,
That's what
so
most May players do. But anyways,
this will be kind of boring for the people, but we're going to call it a draw for that, with the possibility of Sonic winning if it was like Eggman and Doomfist both have guns to their best friends' heads or something like that, and saying, only one of you can survive, the other must, lose their friend or something like that. Then I can see it, turning bad, but I don't see it like that. I guess we'd have to find two people that have the interest in defeating each other for a particular reason. Yeah,
Right.
that was my bad. I just thought it'd be cool because they're both fast. But anyways, let's bring it to the tots. I know we took a little bit longer than usual working on that,
Yep.
and you got a hot date.
No,
How
it's
much
okay.
time?
I'm having fun.
How much time do we got to work with?
Got about 30 minutes. I'm good.
Okay.
Hey.
Then the topic of the show that I put together is because there's been a lot of talk about game companies. It's been like this. I think the first post about it was actually a Life Journal post or something like that in 2004, about people being forced to crunch a lot of amount of time in a week as a video game developer. And of course, sure shit, with Red Dead Redemption coming out very soon, somebody might have mentioned, we were working 100-hour weeks for this. And then, of course, Rockstar snuck up behind the guy with the knife and said, you might want to clarify that a little bit better, son. And he was like, not literal 100-hour weeks, LOL. And so my topic was, should there be forced unionization for all contractors and personnel of the video game industry? Now, I know that sounds like that escalated a little quickly there.
Right.
Jeez. But it's been a hell of a topic with some people in terms of whether or not they should be protected, whether or not they want to be. Because there's been a lot of, especially with voice actors in particular, voice actors for the video game industry have been getting really screwed over in a lot of sense compared to their movie, cartoon or acting counterparts. Like the biggest example is Nolan North, who, everybody knows him for Nathan Drake, amongst many other things from the Uncharted series and a bunch of other games. He's one of the most well-known video game actors.
He's also the voice of, your Ghost in Destiny 2.
And also of the motherfucking Ghost in Destiny 2. He gets paid like a very small fraction to say a voice actor who, would be doing freaking South Park or something like that.
Right.
It's upsetting. And it's not fair for them, but if they go into a union, but it's not a force to everybody has to go into a union, that it's like those union workers that want more better pay that they're entitled to, or in this case, all the developers, then that means the company could just hire non-unionized people, or otherwise just get seasonal people and just do mass layoffs every single time. Now, I guess I'm going to reiterate the question to you. Reiterate. There we go. Reiterate. Do you think there should be unions forced upon the developers to ensure equality, whether or not they like it or not?
So big disclaimer, two disclaimers actually. I was thinking about this last night before I fell asleep. I have very little knowledge of North American labor laws, so this is all speculation. Before anybody starts adding me and be like, "You don't know shit," and I'm like, "Yeah, of course I don't know shit. I'm telling you right now that I don't know shit." Second disclaimer: I grew up in a country where unions were forbidden, like they were illegal to have unions.
Oh shit!
Right. So, these could be very biased. I am gonna say, when we talked about Telltale Games a couple of weeks ago, and they 250 people got laid off with no forewarning whatsoever, and the labor laws of that state where they were in clearly stated that if there was any upcoming changes or mass layoffs, people have to be warned and severances have to be paid accordingly. The company violated the state's laws, and now they're going to be hit with a class action lawsuit anytime soon, and it's going to cost them even more than they thought it was going to cost them.
Oh no, they're going to save money that they already cheated out of their developers by cutting them early.
you see a lot of cases, and this meme goes around a lot, but it has some truth to it, where I can pay you an exposure when you're talking to an artist. That's bullshit. Initially,
Why
if
would you
you're
give me this art piece for free?
initially
It should be an honor.
if you're starting out in an industry, especially in an industry like with art, initially you want. I'm not saying you should go out and do things for free, but you have to create some reputation. So you go out and do things for free or like very highly subsidized prices, build some rapport, build some brand, build a brand name, build some recognition, reputation. Then you start charging people, and everybody for the work that they do deserves to be compensated appropriately.
Fairly,
And
yes.
so I believe that if there is a thing to speak on part of the people to make sure that they're treated properly, they're in proper work conditions, they're compensated appropriately, the benefits are appropriate for the kind of work they're doing and for the hours they're putting in, then I'm all for that, because there are a lot of companies that will screw the people over by misleading them into signing contracts by making them think it's something that it's not.
So not necessarily a union, but it could be a union, but maybe even a federally run program that's headed by the government to see that
Maybe, but
everything's being taken care of.
something that holds people accountable. Because for me, in this particular case with Rockstar, I feel it's more of a combination of like very poor management, and also increasing pressures from the publishers and the developers themselves. They're the ones who overhype the game to the point where it's like, well, shit, we gave them a date. We might not be able to stick to the date, but now we kind of have to go all in. So we're going to force everybody for our mistakes to work overtime.
Which is ironic. For example, here, Kojima. Kojima wanted to build a 5-year project with Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm pulling these numbers out of my ass, so don't hold me accountable. But hypothetically, Konami only wanted to put him on a 2.5 year budget, meaning he had to rush a bunch of stuff, he had to cut a bunch of budgets, and the end result was Metal Gear Solid 5 is only about 60 to 70% done. Like, there's a main storyline that is technically a storyline that is called Act 1, and I think he wanted 3 acts, but he ended up having to cut Act 2 almost in half, and kind of said, as soon as you get the halfway point, it's like, hey, that's actually the end of the story. We're done here. Good job. Show's over. And now that Kojima's by himself, he has his own time limits and all that stuff because he's the big boss now. But the problem is with that, he's overhyped the damn thing, talking about this Death Stranding game that even the people he's working with is starting to put pressure on him against his own game. Like, he didn't realize that by hyping his own game up, people are like, hey, we got to do this in a timely fashion so I can see my dividends out of this too.
Right.
Because as it turns out, he's been borrowing money. And if you don't own the money, you still have to listen to people, as it turns out.
Yeah, no, it's all about the stakeholders, and I can understand that to a certain aspect, but I think publishers don't. Honestly, I don't think publishers understand what it takes to make a video game. Honestly, I really don't think they really know what kind of work goes into.
I think they do. It's just they also
it's either,
know that
they do and they don't care,
yes,
or they don't and they don't care. And so you have, and so they do, and then you have the high-ranking developers who maybe don't necessarily know how to properly negotiate. Like, all right, look, this is the time frame we can give you if everybody works solid 8 hours every day and no more than that, right? And then you'll have the one individual here and there who's not at all forced to come in overtime, stay overtime, but purely enjoys what he does, and so he puts in a little bit more effort. And you have a few individuals like that. But otherwise, you have people coming in regularly within a given time frame, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And developers, I guess, are just not good enough in pushing that expectation to publishers, like the high-ranking developers, mind you.
And it would be a big deal. Obviously, the whole 100-hour week. Sorry, my cat is getting really close to my power strip, and I got really sweaty for a second. Like, it would be a big deal if they were doing 100 hours a week, but it would be a bigger deal if they're doing 100 hours a week and they're on a salary for 40 hours. Because two things in my head is one thing I am very worried about when it comes to a business is when they say, oh, when you work with us, we're like a family.
Right.
Because there's a couple of problems with this. The first one is, as a family, the company then is wanting you to put in more for the family because you're part of the team. We would do the same for you. But the moment something goes awry, like for you through the company is like, oh, we got to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's a double standard because a family company, if you treat it like family, that doesn't protect you from state laws, or the state laws doesn't protect you from, misfortune with the company. If you bend your ass over for the company and then you get screwed over in the end, there's no state law that says, hey, the company has to keep you and treat you just as nice as a family as you did for them. Obviously, there's money and revenue laws, like,
Right.
for example, the state suit that's going on right now, but there's nothing stopping, the company from screwing you over. I almost said Nintendo. Whoops. The other thing is, and I don't remember the exact numbers. I was trying to look it up real quick, but I couldn't find it. I do remember that there was a kind of survey out there right now, where somebody looked at each of the company's budgets for AAA games, and something along the lines of 60% of the budget goes strictly into advertising.
Yep.
Which is a huge amount. Like, if we're talking like, a $200 million game that went to investment, that means like over 100 and, like, 10 120 million of this money that could have, we're talking like a development team of 200 in this example, 120 million. That means hypothetically about 3 million per person is going into budgeting. Now, why they couldn't cut that down to say 55% or 50% and then boost up the, like, instead of making them 55,000 a year if they're lucky, bump it up to say 100,000 a year, and just let that go around for a couple of million. That's 2-3 million that could really make developers get pretty wealthy. And it's like, at that point, if I was making 100,000 a year versus 55, I'd do fucking 100-hour weeks.
Because some of the publishers don't care.
Moments.
They just, it's, they're going to do whatever makes the most money, and the return on advertising probably gives them a greater, return on investment. Again, mind you, I'm talking out of my ass. I have no context for anything. I don't know what the situation is specifically at Rockstar. I just want to make that clear because I have no insider information. But no, like, it's. I treat advertising, or at least the way I think of advertising, is very similar to, that saying, all bark but no bite, right? So you can use advertising to hype up a game as much as you want, and then when the end product is shit, the people who actually made the money, the publishers, on hyping up the game to the point where everybody bought it, are the ones laughing at the end of the day, because they don't care if the game got negative reviews. They don't care if everybody hates the game. All they care about is the fat paycheck they're cutting themselves, because the advertising worked, people bought the game, and now they have the money.
It's very unfortunate truth. Now, like, stuff like that kind of backlash, for example, No Man's Sky, where, there wasn't really so much a publisher as much as a hype man that was Sony.
And it was more, it was misinformation. It wasn't about, like, overhyped advertising.
True. I'm dragging the wrong name into the mud.
No Man's Lie. It was No Man's Lie. Sorry, that was the. I'm trying to think of a game. I can't think of No, I can think of the perfect game, actually. Sure. Destiny 2 at launch was overhyped to the point they had a big event where they called out all these content creators last year and flew them down at, like, a private hangar somewhere in, like, on the West Coast. They had all these people play test the game. Everybody was hyped about it. Everybody didn't know what they were expecting. There were these new systems, all of this shit, and then it just went to shit, right? And Activision Blizzard were sitting happy with their fat checks.
Hell yeah, they were. But I mean, I do believe that they should be protected. Obviously, I kind of set it up as that way, and I wish I could give an opposing view to play devil's advocate, but I can get pretty emotionally invested on this. Sometimes, people, when they want to become a game developer, it's because it's something that they love to do. And obviously, they can become, an indie developer and, establish their own brand. But right now, I think the chances of becoming a successful indie developer is probably just as bad as becoming a successful video game podcast that is going to make enough revenue to quit their jobs. I mean, it's Tyler, we spend, you and I specifically, and we're not the only people in this world that do this, but we spend a lot of our times playing video games. Video games were a big part of both childhood, our adult life. And so if there's something that can ensure that the people who put all of this work into our games, into how much of our, what we spend so much of our time into, to make sure that
they're happy that they're getting properly treated, properly compensated, that they can take care of their family, because these are people too. They also have their own lives, and their kids also have their own dreams. It's just a full circle, and that's why fuck Telltale Games, the executives of whoever
Oh
did
man, hot take. Fuck Telltale Games. Why is that, Nick?
the executives, because they put their people out on the streets.
Hell, it stinks because I want to be mad at the publishers, but I'm even more mad at the people that been wanting the game still. It's like,
Oh no, fuck the people wanting the game who thinking, oh, why don't you just do it for free? Well, whatever you're good at, Mr. Dentist, why don't you just clean everybody's teeth for free? Don't charge them a single dime.
If this is the USSR, this is a possible thing, but unfortunately, communists lost. Okay, get over it. So, but I also realize that those people are few and far in between, because obviously there's always going to be a couple of nuts in the whole bread stack, and that's a completely made up phrase because that didn't even make any sense.
Makes complete sense. They just don't fit in.
Okay, yes, I don't even know what the hell a bread stack is though. Oh, I'm sorry, a stack of 6 people, but they're all bread.
Pretty much.
They're kind of crusty with their shooting, but they're all soft inside. They can't take the kill shot. They always go for the body, and they never aim for the head. Bunch of rookies. Anyways, actually, it makes me wish I played Graviton. I can still do the Graviton Lance in Crucible. Why don't I just do that? Get me back in the game.
It's still a very good gun. It's still a very good gun.
I know. I just need to play it again, man. But let's wrap it up over there on that end. Some games that are coming out this week, all 3 of them in this case, but we do have one big game coming out this week. Let's see. Today, the date is the 22nd of October 2018. Right. Coming out this week is Just Dance, and I just want to strongly reiterate, it's 2019. Coming out for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, which I think this is the first game that has not come out for the Nintendo Wii since the Wii came out. So that's a good step. That is the 23rd. The 26th, there are going to be 2 games coming out. First one is My Hero One's Justice, coming out for PS4 and Switch. I've not heard of it. I'm sure Nick is going to click. Okay, good. We can skip that over. And then, of course, the super big one that we're kind of mentioning with Rockstar, Red Dead Redemption 2, coming out for PS4 and Xbox One. Switch. Coming out this upcoming Friday. So if that's your
just quickly, have you ever played Red Dead Redemption, Tyler? I
have not played Red Dead Redemption or Red Dead Revolver.
Okay, yeah, I'm not into westerns, so I never had any interest. So,
I actually, unless there's going to be a wild example that catches me off guard, I had no major interest in any Rockstar games. The closest thing I had to playing a Rockstar game is I played the campaign of Grand Theft Auto 5, and I played that because best friend Nick bought it on the PS4, and then he had me share and play it when he was done with it, and it was okay. But every time my wife came home, she kind of looked at me with disgust, and she's like, "Oh, you playing that?" And I've never
played Bully.
I've never played Bully. I've heard of it. I looked at it, but Rockstar games, for the most part, kind of come with a sense of you need to be a little bit of a sadist. And I can be at times, but at the same time, it's like...
I understand that.
Like, their morals are so far below, and I'm not going to do the holier than thou thing. It's just, I don't know, the games make me uncomfortable in a way. Like, but each his own. Each his own. It feels like Red Dead Redemption is going to be more of a gray area, so there's a possibility there.
That's fine.
However, in this game, or this day in gaming, coming out in 2015, this day is Fatal Frame. Made in Blackwater, which is technically Fatal Frame 5. Now, have you heard of a Fatal Frame game?
I'm going to save you some time, Taylor. I've not heard of a lot of these, and I've not played all of them.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay, so Fatal Frame, the one I know, came out for the PS2. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was the second one. I watched Markiplier play it. Basically, you defeat enemies, which are usually ghosts, by taking pictures of them with the camera, and the film is like ammo. And I was like, that is cool, but you're using a thumbstick. What happens if you moved, say, a gamepad and went around it aimed with it like that? And I was like, the Wii U would be great for that. And then it came out for the Wii U. I was like, hooray.
Imagine that.
And so I discovered this in like 2017. I was like, okay, it's got to be dirt cheap by now because the Wii U is officially dead. Like, it's better than Al Capone. And well, there's a problem. They released it digital only for the Wii U, And to that day, and still to this day, it's $60. It's like I'm not playing $60 for a game that got like a 4 out of 10 rating. So I've not been able to play that game to test it. I'm sure it's a terrible game, but whatever. Coming out for Xbox One and 360 in 2014, The Legend of Korra by Platinum Games. Now, we know Platinum Games for all sorts of good stuff. For example, Nier Automata, my favorite game, alongside Scalebound, the canceled game by Microsoft, and you can name off legitimately good games. But The Legend of Korra I listed because it had an interesting thing. I think it came out on Steam first, but The Legend of Korra had such good hype material coming up for it, but then it turned out to be such a mediocre to lackluster game that people turned on it fairly quickly.
IGN gave it a 4.2
out of 5?
10.
Oh, 10. Okay. That's like, are we talking about Legend of Korra Fatal Frame? Because I feel like they both got the same score.
Legend of Korra came out 1 day before on every other platform except, so it came out on the 21st for Windows, PS3, and PS4, and the 22nd for 360 and Xbox One.
It's so sad because I love Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra.
Same.
Like, fucking great. And this is the first time that they did a Legend of Korra game, so people got hyped, and then it turned out to be that. So Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Full Burst came out this day on the Xbox 360 and PS3, 2013. So this would have been right around the time that PS4 was making its big break. In fact, I thought it came out in 2012. I have no idea if this was a backwards release game or what, but Ultimate Ninja Storm is the actual name title, and Full Burst was kind of more like a game of the year. Here's extra DLC pack came for it.
Right. So the North American title is Ultimate Ninja Storm 3, and it came out in 2013 in March.
Okay.
March 5th, yeah.
Okay, so the original came out about 7 months ago then.
Yeah.
Then it came out with the Full Burst version of this.
So I have played briefly a Ninja Storm game.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the more recent ones that might have come out in 2016 or 2017.
Okay.
I never really grew up with fighting games, so it was fun. It was
cartoonish, arcadey fun. It's not like a really fighting game so much as like, look what cool ability I can do.
Right,
and I can turn into a log if I get my
it was also fun because I am very much deeply invested in like the Naruto lore. So
wait, are you really?
Yeah, no, I haven't watched it, but I read the comics. Yeah.
Have you read the entire manga? I'm not saying that. I'm asking if you're a true fan. I'm just curious to see how far you got into it.
Yeah, no, I finished it, and I'm up to date with Boruto Next Generation as well.
Oh man, I need you can't see it behind the chair. I got a little figure of Naruto holding up a bowl of ramen. Maybe that's you at this point. I can have you as a representation.
No, I've done full on like deep lore research on
lore research on Naruto. Yeah. Oh boy, that is
that's what I do some 2 a.m. Sunday night.
Came out in 2012 on anything you could possibly think of and its mother, Skylanders Giant Series 2. Now I don't remember specifically when Skylanders started to actually no, they're still coming out to this day. I'm thinking of Disney Infinite.
Infinity 2.0.
And coming out Fallout New Vegas in 2010 came out on Steam today. So happy 8th birthday. Actually, would it be technically 8th? It's 8 years, but it would be its 7th birthday, right? No, never mind. It's
Christ if I know, dude.
I
mean, 8th birthday. I think we'd go 8th birthday. So 2010 to 2011 to 12 to 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, 8th birthday.
Holy shit. It's been 8 years since Fallout has released a properly new game.
Yeah.
8 years.
Have you ever played any of the Fallout games much?
Okay, so the short answer is no, I have not.
Okay, so what's the long answer time?
So I've watched the full story playthrough plus side quests and all that stuff 3 times over against my will.
Okay.
Basically, I was living with a roommate. I was playing on my computer, and he would play Fallout 3. He played it. We're talking like 50, 60 hours of a run and all that stuff. He did everything that he could possibly think of, and I sat there watching it and trying to ignore it and all that stuff, but it was there.
Right.
Then I watched my other best friend, I went from Brandon to Nick, who did the same exact fucking thing. And then my best friend Brandon's friend Connor took the same copy as Brandon and then proceeded to do it a third time. Now, by the third time, I cemented into my head that I fucking hate this game. And
That's
so
fair.
because of that, when they tried to pass on the controller to me, I tried it for all of like maybe 15, 20 minutes. I said, nope, I know what happens. I hate myself. I'm not going to touch it. And I'd never touched it since. So I couldn't get into it for some reason. Oh, I know why, but
that's fair,
it's like I could have loved pizza. You know, I do love pizza. But if I was a child and my parents like ripped open my jaw and shoved pepperoni in my mouth, I would eventually start to despise it, even if it was good. And so, yeah, I only played Skyrim out of the Elder Scrolls series. So, let's see, coming out, or it came out in 2001. We're going to jump really far back. Zoo Tycoon came out for the PC. So happy birthday to Zoo Tycoon. You are now 17. You are 16 going on 17. Look at you, Zoo Tycoon.
Dancing Queen.
Sure. And then 1984 also for the PC. So this game is 34 years old. Spitfire Ace came out for the PC. So that is it over on that end. Let's wrap this up because we are incredibly long in the tooth. We managed to talk to each other to death because I introduced the idea that Sonic should go against Tracer. Great idea, me. So next week it'll be about 45
I had fun with that, though.
Because Nick is... What's that?
I had fun with that, though.
Did you?
Yeah, because I like thinking about stuff like that.
We got to find like two characters
But
that
I think
like...
it's just purely the characters. So if we find like...
We should pick like two villains or something like that next time. People that want to mess each other up.
Trying to think. We could do...
Riven versus Calamity Ganon.
No, that would be too much. No, that'd be too much.
I was going to say, please don't.
Sort through there, yeah.
We can talk about it later. So my stream schedule has been like indefinitely suspended until I can get my shit straight because I don't even have enough time to play games normally, let alone stream them. I could just be streaming my Pixelmon addiction, but unless you like me slowly building a giant death cube together to piss off the mods, it's going to be a really boring time. But hey, you know, each his own. Plus, I'm usually naked in my underwear scratching my ass. But, you know, hey, if that's your kink, I don't kink shame. This is the kingdom. If you do manage to find me, or if you want to keep updated with me, I'm on twitch.tv/2timestyler. I'm also on Twitter at 2timestyler, all letters, all one word. However, my more important person and the person who's more dedicated to streaming than I right now is Nick. Nick, where can we find all your stuff?
Funnily enough, my streaming schedule has also been kind of suspended.
No.
I'll stream whenever I can nowadays rather than sticking to the schedule just because school's been piling on and that takes priority. So I do have a stream plan for either... Oh, wait. No, never mind. Just follow me on Twitter and you'll figure out when I'm going to go live. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at LRWarrior11. And you can find my Twitch at twitch.tv/LRWarrior11. My current schedule is set up for me to stream on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. But I haven't streamed in a few days now, and it's just school, me wanting to play other games just on my, like, Breath of the Wild. I can't stream Breath of the Wild due to technical reasons. I just don't have the hardware, and also I just wanted to enjoy the game. So really it's, it'll go school, then my stuff first, and then stream. That's sort of like my priority list. Right. Sorry. Podcast is right in there, like school, the podcast, and then my stuff, and then stream.
Okay, yeah. Sure. Nick has a hot date. And I gotta play with two other, sweaty man children on Mario Party right after this.
Sounds like fun.
Which includes my wife, mind you. So whatever details. I really, really want to say the thing I typed in on Discord, but it's like I feel like
you only just got married, Tyler.
Are you ready for this, Nick?
All right.
What are you gonna do when you get that itch? Get that itch to stream on Twitch.
I'm gonna make you my bitch. All my skills, all hack and glitch.
All glitch, my skills all hack and glitch. Like level 596. Yet your skill set at zilch.
He's got me sweaty.
See, I can copy and paste and underline them each other at the same time because it'll be perfect.
Man, my humps was like an anthem. When I was growing up, it was a straight banger growing up.
Oh, so okay. See if I can't work that into something decent. Okay, sorry for that little trash fire I just created. That is it. We will see you guys next week.
You can find us on Twitter at MasterQuestPod, or you can email us at casualmasterquest@gmail.com.
Yes, thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
Awesome partner. It was a test. As a partner, he has to keep up with everything. And he's done a great job on the Twitter. He's the one now in charge of Twitter. He's been posting the good stuff. And don't forget, guys, never, ever. Don't forget to ever. I keep messing it up.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let
you down. Never gonna run around and desert. Wait, no. How's it go?
Yeah.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
Roll lyrics.
Never gonna give you up.
I love that.
Never gonna let
this will be
you
great.
down. Never gonna run around and hurt you, and then it might be desert you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. We've been together for so long. Okay. Anyways, don't forget to never stop the grind. We'll see you guys next week. Holy crap, what's going on? Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Find more of our work by searching for Casual Master Quest on iTunes, Google Play, and other podcast players. Check out what we'll be doing next week on Twitter at MasterQuestPod.
Shh, quiet. Now, here we are. We're looking at the magnificent Nick here, and he is eating what appears to be his favorite type of prey. It is the morning hours for him, as he is nocturnal and does not sleep at all during the day or night. I don't remember. Whatever. See, it appears he has not only suffocated but cooked his prey. He's crunching the bones as we speak. That might be sinew, actually. Yes, it is sinew. Is that pork? Here we are, going live. We're going to be interviewing the predator himself, Nick. Nick, what are you eating, sir?
I've got my favorite meal right here. It's my favorite meal right here. It's dead animal with some baby fetuses.
Ooh, yes.
But pre-shell, emergent from shell.
Are we trying to argue life versus choice here? It doesn't matter if it's before 3 months.
Like a long, complicated way to say eggs.
I know. It's just you really. It's like you realize, like, oh, if I say that, I might upset some people.
That's fine. They can add me on Twitter, twitter.com/LRWarrior11. Fight me.
I still think. I love how every I don't know. I'd say about 45 minutes. I think of a cool new podcast idea. The new one would be "At Me, Bro." Say something controversial. See, I got this recording right now because now it's proof of concept.
You can trademark that shit.
All right. So, wait, it is 2:00 in the afternoon. You're eating breakfast?
Brunch.
Oh, pardon me.
I think that would be the appropriate definition for it. And
brunch is usually around noon. This is 2 hours past it. This is
I don't know where you're doing brunch, Tyler, but this is brunch at my house.
Or lupper, I guess. Oh man, I got a hell of a scar there. That's what I get for trying to shave with my wife's razor. A new one. Amanda,
why would
your razors are poopy. I will buy you better razors for yourself.
They're not made for the face, Tyler.
I mean, no offense, I'm pretty sure leg hair is like barbed wire compared to the shit that's on my face typically. So it should have had an easier time, but it apparently treated my skin like barbed wire and ripped it off.
Other way around, leg skin is a lot tougher than facial skin would be, so it doesn't have to be as sensitive or smooth.
What are you trying to tell me now?
Sorry to say, but I have no intention of shaving my legs for the next 3 months.
Yeah, you go, girl. Fight the power.
Nick is applauding you.
Yeah. Winter is coming.
I guess that's one way of saying it. I'm not shaving my legs. Winter is coming. Be prepared. No, that's fine. I'd do the same for my face. Honestly, I've been debating whether or not to grow the full beard out again, but like it's those 2-3 weeks where I'm 50-50 committed where I want to grow the beard, but then it just looks like I have this filthy neck beard and I forgot to shave because I'll have like, a half an inch of hair around the face, but then I got this big ass luscious beard. I can't even say it fucking luscious because Nick's there.
This is me being lazy. Like, honestly, if I wanted to, I could shave regularly, but I just really don't want to. So. That's part of the reason why I started growing a beard.
Toast?
What?
Did I hear you cutting toast?
No. So
all I hear is...
I'll show you here. So my pork chop, I got one side with a really nice crust, and the other side not as much. And so it's really nice and crunchy on one side, really nice and juicy on the other.
Ooh. Oh. Now, is this you cooking it, or did you steal it from a neighbor?
No. So I got the pork chops marinated from a grocery store just down the street from me, and then I just cook it up. Yeah.
Nice. Look at you. Now, you didn't rush cooking that, right? Because I'm pretty sure pork is frowned upon as undercooked.
Not so much. It can be like steak to a certain extent, where a little bit of pink is not.
Really, for pork?
It's not too bad. Like a tiny bit of pink. I'm not talking about like.
Wait, I got to back up a second question.
Chicken. Chicken is the one you never want to have it like.
Fish too, technically, but obviously there's some people that
fish. It depends on the kind of fish, where it's from, and method of like storage and preparation. So you can get away with raw fish.
They do it a weird way where instead of cooking it to kill the bacteria, they like super deep freeze it for 3 days to kill off the bacteria, and then they let it go room temperature. That freaks me out though. But pork. Also, backup question. I guess you're not really religious, but I thought you weren't. Your family doesn't typically touch pork, right?
So in Hinduism,
I know it's beef usually, right?
Yeah.
Am I getting mixed up then?
A little bit. It's Islam where pork is forbidden. With Hinduism, it's beef that's forbidden. And you have like the different tier system. So at the highest tier in Hinduism, no meat at all, and that's where my family is. That's what I grew up in. And then the further down you go, they allow meat, but as long as nobody touches beef, you're all good. And there are very few places in India that sort of have pork as their culture in terms of food, but it's not a very common meat in India. Okay. It's mostly like chicken, lamb, and seafood. If we're talking about the different kinds of meat that Indians use.
Good to know. My apologies.
That's okay. This is how we learn. When people ask questions and they're not afraid of asking them because they just don't know. It's when people start getting like afraid of asking and then they make it into like an offensive statement, but not on purpose. And one person gets offended, another person gets offended, and then it's a shit show from there on.
So we had, because we, sadly enough, our school was predominantly white. Like I'm talking like 95% white. That's how bad it is. And I'm sure it's like that at a lot of places, but some reason it was just weirdly white, even for us. Because usually it's like, I don't know, 60, 30, 10 or something like that. And you know where I'm going with this. But I knew one person, actually 2 people that were Indian. Literally Indian, not Amando's pseudo-Indian. I'm calling you a fake Indian.
Or First Nation style.
Yes, sure. Anyways.
Not my fault Columbus was a dumbass.
Okay. And the one person I hung out with who happened to be Indian, he would not touch meat at all whatsoever. And so I based it into my concept that, that is how all of them, obviously that was misconstrued, but
I mean, it makes sense because that was your exposure to that culture.
Yeah, right? Apparently though, they're goddamn saints over there. If their Hinduism is such high level that they won't touch meat.
Yeah, because the idea was that we believe in and I could be very wrong. Big disclaimer: I have no idea about my own religion, but the belief is that there is a circle of life and there's like a karma system, and so everything is connected and stuff like that. Buddhism is a offshoot of Hinduism, like old school Buddhism. I'm almost done, so I can bring my mic closer. And so the people at the top, and mind you, this was not based on the religion. This was a societal system. The caste system was made by society, and so the idea is that the people at the top are the ones closest to gods and communicating with gods, and they had to do all these certain things, and they were the smartest, and they were the scholars, and then they had to go out and do all the prayers and all of this. There were things that only they could do. They were given privileges by the government. They were basically like they were the 1%, and the government would bend over and suck their dick for just about anything.
Yeah, but this guy was training to be like take over his father's motel, like a low budget thing. He wasn't going to become a pundit or whatever the hell they're called.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about like 200 years ago or so.
Okay.
Now I can't speak to how things have evolved.
I said 200 years ago, it was unfortunately mostly split between British and French control. So,
oh yeah, no, that sucked. They came in and took all of our money and left, but then we couldn't let them leave without us because now there's such a big brown population in the UK as well.
So
you can't just leave us come and invade us for 200 years and then leave us.
I mean, they pretty much did that,
and then we went with them. We went with them, and now they need a visa to come back into India. So. It's
weird because, like, I learned about this. I love how World War II taught me a lot about, like, World War I with Winston Churchill specifically. He was during that time of his upbringing and the politics. British were like saying, "You know what? This isn't worth it. We need to start pulling out." And a lot of people are like, "We cannot give up, properties of the British Empire." And it's like, this is ridiculous. And I think specifically Winston Churchill was against giving up India because he personally believed that if he left British control out of India, India would erupt into vicious violence due to the huge amounts of violence that was being caused between Hindus and, I don't think it was Buddhists. I think it might have been Muslims where they were just at each other's throats.
Yeah, it was a violence they caused. So India and Pakistan used to be one country, and then the British were really good at employing the strategy of divide and conquer. So they came, talked some shit into the ears of the Muslims, talked some shit into the ears of the Hindus. Like, oh, that guy said this, oh, that guy said this, caused them to fight, and then forced them to form their own country. Purely so, Pakistan didn't exist until the British came, and so they caused the whole drama and violence themselves. And they're like, yeah, well, look at these savages, they're fighting, but they caused it. And so you see.
And this podcast also taught me that when Gandhi started doing his thing, I personally thought he was strictly a religious prophet leader type person, but he was 100% a political figure of sorts. Obviously, a very passive piece is the way to go kind of thing, because Gandhi wanted to resolve everything peacefully, even when everybody wanted to murder each other, and it was interesting how that worked. And as it turns out, Winston Churchill's vote to keep India did not work. They left. And then I believe they said something along the lines of like 20 million people in India died subsequently, I guess would be the word, because of the bloodshed that occurred over people fighting for the vacuum and power. Which sucks. Sorry, I don't mean to tell you my little history of what I know about.
Oh no, that's a lot more than I know. Like, I can tell you absolutely nothing. All I know is that Winston Churchill was right to an extent. We are so beyond, like, if you ask any person above the age of 50 who's still a very strong proponent of the whole India versus Pakistan mentality, and you ask them why you're fighting, they wouldn't be able to tell you.
I think his other argument was back in the 1930s, I believe was during, or maybe it was the mid-20s. He saw the caste system when he was serving there, where it went all the way down to the untouchables that their only purpose in life was to take out the rich people's trash. And he realized that if they had such a social system to where they could simply outcast a group of people just because of their birth, he was arguing that it was no better than slavery at that point between their own people, and he didn't think without British control that it would get anywhere. I mean, I don't know what it's like modern day.
I couldn't tell you what it's like modern day, but I know of stories where if you ever to get touched by an untouchable, you'd have to go travel like hundreds of miles because you're American to like a holy river and bathe yourself before you can go back home to like cleanse your spirit or some bullshit. The caste system was a social and cultural construct. It was not a religious
Jesus.
construct. No, it's fucked up. No, we deserve to a large part. If we're talking about karma, we deserve a lot of what we've done to like whatever's happening now to Indians. They deserve it because it's very much like the American political system. Whatever you guys are getting, you deserve it. Same with India.
Boy, victim blaming by Nick. I love how every time I say your full name, instead of saying it how you asked me to pronounce it, Nickel,
Yeah.
I always say Nickel.
Yeah, because of the H in there, it throws people off.
Is it technically Nickel or Nickel?
So it's Nikhil.
Is your H like in Cool Whip? Is it silent?
No, it's Nikhil.
Okay.
So, but
So
it's
say
not
Nickel.
it's not as strongly enunciated. It's not an enunciation that a lot of people in North America are used to. And so just to make it easier, and because that's also how I introduce myself, Nickel is the go-to.
The American coin.
No, I literally go like, "Hey, what's your name?" I'm like, "Hey, it's Nickel." They're like, "What?" "Oh, like the coin or the metal." They're like, "Oh, I get it. That's cool." I'm like, "All right," and then we go on over there.
Yeah. My name is Dime.
That's pretty much. I've been called.
Or I guess you could call her Penny. I guess
Um,
that'd be a good name.
um,
Let me name my first child Penelope.
That's a beautiful name.
Okay, so did I tell you, honey, about the story about the truck driver that saved my ass on Thursday because
right
I tried fueling and it auto declined my card?
Yeah, he told me the story.
And there was a guy there that just happened to be there, and he saved my ass. I did make a deal with him. I told him he has his choice. His name is Bill or William. I told him for our firstborn, he can either have the middle name, or the secondborn, he can have the first name.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I made this decision without your permission, but that's how it's going to go. And if you don't like that, I'll find somebody who is willing to carry the child with that name. Your call. I mean, I will respect you either way.
Aphrodite.
If you can't handle a Billy Vidito, I mean, her name, if it's a girl, it could be Wilhelmina. Also Billy.
That's a no.
This child out of your bits, you can name it whatever the fuck you want.
I'll be out in the
But-
streets.
If I gotta do it, then I'm getting some say, and I say nay.
Is there any rendition of William that you'd be okay with?
I don't mind it as a middle name, actually.
Oh, so, I mean, how about our firstborn, since his firstborn would be the middle name, his first name would be Wild. Wild Bill Vidito. No? Okay. How about,
Xerxes.
when you say it's okay as a middle name, potentially, do you say William or Williams? Billy? What are you thinking?
Probably William.
Okay. Well, what would be? Oh boy, Amanda's giving me the. Are we going to talk about
Xerxes.
making babies mode? She's getting all blushy and stuff. What?
I'm cold.
Yeah. Are you cold as ice?
Yeah.
My first
You went
daughter
on
will
the
be
sacrifice?
Veronica.
You want me to put my feet on your thighs again?
What's up?
You want me to put my feet on your thighs again?
No. Wait, you say Veronica? Veronica
Yep.
Williams? Wait, is that a famous person I'm completely ignorant to?
Veronica is one sassy bitch name.
Veronica with a K.
Veronica with a K.
Oh my god, knock it off!
I'm 100% serious.
I
Veronica
am
with a K.
legally,
My
without
son's name will be
losing all the people
Tobias.
that could potentially listen to this, I cannot respond to this.
Son's name would be Tobias. And they're not going to take my last name. They're going to take my partner's last name because my last name's a joke. So
What are you talking about? Chelly
Yeah.
Melons? Mid drink too. I got you mid drink.
fuck, I forgot my vape. I'll go get it and then I'm good to go.
Okay. Man, we have. Stop making the noise. Watch, I'm going to kill the computer doing that. It's not too bad. It's weird that it's starting to overheat like that. Although the fan is completely covered in dust. There, breathe, child, breathe.
All right.
Hi.
Good to go.
Ooh, you should have done that closer to the mic. Can I have a retake? You have to try a little harder this time.
So you were gonna do it with my bag sometimes.
Ooh, Jesse.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Ooh. I'm gonna feel that one tomorrow.
All right, old man, let's get this going.
Yeah, let me do my jaw because what's it called? TMJ? TMJ? It's a condition in which your jaw is partially dislocated and it inflames the side of your jaw muscles easily when you try to chew too much. Never heard of that? I got the jaw of a goddamn boa constrictor. I can eat a lot of things larger than what I should normally because I'm a fat ass and I don't chew. I just
like dick.
I was gonna suggest that joke. I was like, maybe I shouldn't because that would be self-deprecating. But hey, Nick with the slam down.
What do you mean? I suck dick for bus fare, but then walk home so I can keep the money. You know?
That's saving both the dick and money.
Yeah.
So, am I hosting or are you hosting?
I believe it's you. We're back to
Are we
normalcy.
alternating? We don't just rock paper scissors it?
No, we're back to normalcy. And I'm gonna hit you with my
Normalcy. Oh, you made a mistake. You're gonna make me the host in normal.
witty one-liner. I'm ready to go when you are.
Oh, you got one ready?
Hang on, one ready. You know what I'm saying?
Got one in the chamber. Me. Ooh, pup. I almost said like I was going to joke about eating a dog treat, but then I realized my dog was in the earshot and he would get triggered if I said that full word out loud. Okay, so your witty line, 5 seconds, and then I will. I'll start. Take it away whenever you're ready.